I'm back. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's staying safe, and I hope everybody's being smart. Most importantly, I hope everybody is getting on code and staying on code. I just wanted to come and bring y'all just two real interesting stories that just kind of resonated with me. And I know if they resonated with me, that they'll also resonate with you guys. So we're going to get right into this. Please hit that like button. Please share this video because it's very important. Please hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we upload videos. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Like always, everything that I read from, everything that I talk about will be listed down in the description box so that, you know, you can read these articles and you can follow this stuff up and you can do some research on your own and all of that. So let's get right on into this because this is yeah. For all you bisexuals, as they call them now, for all you people that supported Biden, that supported Harris and voted for Biden because of Kamala Harris or for whatever reason, or everybody was just, you know, so gung-ho that we got to get rid of Trump, we got to get rid of Trump, we got to get Biden in there, things are going to be so much better under Biden. Well, just like in the title, he's just rubbing all of this shit right in your faces. He rubbing all of this that he's doing for all of these other groups, all the stuff that he's doing for LGBTQ, all the stuff that he's doing for illegals, all the stuff that he's doing for immigrants, all the stuff that he's done and is doing for Asians and all of this. He's rubbing all of this stuff in your face. Why? Because to this point, they still haven't done anything tangible for foundational Black Americans. They still haven't done anything tangible for Black folks. Nothing. It's been a bunch of symbolism, a bunch of symbolic gestures, a bunch of bull, a bunch of first black this and first black that, and all of that like that's supposed to help us. But nothing tangible. They've given us all these things that we did not ask for. I'm sure many of you have been seeing the picture that's going around, and it kind of turned it into a meme going around where the Congressional Black Caucus asked the question, what is most important, you know, what is the most important issue and the most important topic for Black Americans? And it was a resounding reparations. But nobody's talking about reparations. And we got the immigrants and we got all of these folks coming in talking about why we shouldn't have it. And we got some homegrown coons doing the same thing. But most of them are immigrants that know that they're not eligible for it if we do get our reparations. They're coming in talking about what we can't get and what we shouldn't get and why we shouldn't have reparations and the whole 9 yards. But everybody voted for Biden talking about it'll be better than Trump. The lesser of two evils. All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into what old creepy Jim Crow, Creepy Joe is doing now. This was at msnbc.com. And it was done, as a matter of fact, it says 3 hours ago. Up here it says 3 hours ago. So this was done today, which is what, the 8th? Yeah, today is February the 8th. So it is by Josh Marcus. And it reads this: GOP outraged at 30 million Biden plan to fund crack pipe distribution in efforts to reduce drug harm. And I'm sure those of you who are on Twitter and on Instagram and some of these other social media sites and these other spaces, I'm sure you've seen it going around where they're talking about that Jim Crow Joe is now talking about giving out crack pipes. So we can't get no tangibles, we can't get no reparations, but he can hand out $30 million worth of crack pipes. Okay, so let's read this and let's see what's really going on. Conservative legislators are outraged by recent reports that a Biden administration drug harm reduction program may put some of its funds towards safer smoking kits. On Tuesday, U.S. Senator Marshall Black of Tennessee wrote to the Department of Health and Human Services, expressing grave concerns that a $30 million grant program from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration could include subsidizing drug paraphernalia. Government-funded drug paraphernalia is a slap in the face to the communities and first responders fighting against drugs flowing into our country from a wide-open southern border. Ms. Blaqrayn wrote in her letter, if this is the president's plan to address drug abuse, our nation is in serious trouble. Now, evidently, all of this was a part of that American Rescue Plan. You know, we finding out that a whole lot of little sneaky stuff was snuck into that American Rescue Plan. We found out that them forcing these money apps like PayPal and Snap and Cash App and Venmo, them forcing them to now report to the IRS. If you get up to $600 worth of commercial transactions, it has to be reported to the IRS. We found out that was something that was slipped in and tucked into that American Rescue Bill. Okay, and this plan right here was tucked in there somewhere too. We'll read about that in a minute. The controversy stems from a recently disclosed request for proposals under the Harm Reduction Grant Program, part of the Biden administration's effort to lessen the impact of drug addiction on marginalized communities. There he goes with that, marginalized communities. Right? Usually, what does marginalized communities stand for? Usually, marginalized communities stand for black communities, poor communities, and all of that. So you notice that they're doing everything that they possibly can. Especially this Democratic administration is doing everything that they can to coddle the drug users that we have now. But now this is the same Biden. Understand, this is the same Biden that was a part of all of those crime bills in the late 80s, early 90s. The maximum sentence, the 3 strikes you out. He was a part, of course, the 1994 crime bill. He was a part of several crime bills. It was about maybe 8 or 9 or 10 crime bills that he was a part of, that he was pushing, that he helped to author all of these crime bills when it was supposed to be the quote-unquote crack epidemic. They weren't interested in looking for ways to treat it and looking for ways to make crack users be more comfortable and more safe in using it. They weren't looking for none of that. Just lock them all up, lock them all up. And then we find out that Biden's own son is addicted to crack, or was allegedly addicted to crack cocaine. Okay? The initiative also intends to fund facilities offering safe syringe exchanges, opioid reversal drugs, fentanyl test kits, and other methods meant to stem the United States striking drug overdose crisis, which killed more than 100,000 Americans between May 2020 and April 2021. And you do understand that most of this is coming from all this drugs and everything now that's laced with all this fentanyl and all of this, but most of this is the drugs of that let's be honest, that most white folks are using. So now it's an epidemic. Now it's a mental health crisis and a health crisis. But when it was just black folks and they decided they were going to start this quote-unquote war on drugs, you understand what I'm saying? It was all about them being super predators. And you got to lock them up. You got to lock them up. And all of that. That's what all that succession of crime bills was all about, that Biden and the Democrats were such a big part of. Okay? A description of the program reported by the Washington Free Beacon says funding could go towards smoking kits supplies. The Beacon added that an HHS spokesperson explained these kits could include pipes that could be used for drugs like crack cocaine. Now, MSNBC article stops at crack cocaine. When you go over to the Daily Mail expresses that these pipes could be used to smoke crack, they could be used to smoke crystal meth, and other forms of illicit drugs. The prospect that the federal government could be funding such activities outraged fellow Republicans, including Senator Tom Cotton. Is this a cruel joke? The Arkansas senator said on Twitter on Monday, calling the program crack pipe distribution. Drug abuse deaths are at their highest recorded levels. The Biden administration should focus on stopping traffickers instead of creating more demand for their product. Now, wasn't it just last year? I think it was in 20. It was either in 2020 or 2021 when several states legalized heroin. They legalized what else? They legalized heroin. They legalized a few drugs. Several states legalized these drugs because at this point you got the majority of white people using these drugs. So it was several states. I think it was either in the end of 2020 or right around the beginning of 2021. You had several states to legalize heroin and some other drugs. HHA says that Biden's crack pipe distribution plan is blatant misinformation, but they don't deny the report. Once again, misinformation just means true facts that make Democrats look bad. And that's just what he posted on what he tweeted on his Twitter. The HHS has called claims they're buying crack pipes blatant misinformation. The harm reduction grant offered by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration and authorized by the American Rescue Plan. So see, this is all this stuff that was never really talked about, was never really brought out. All of this stuff that was tucked into the American Rescue Plan. Is a grant program designed to help Americans who are struggling with substance use stay healthy and safe, prevent overdose death, and find pathways into evidence-based treatments, a spokesperson said in a statement to Fox News. Like all programs that use federal funding, these grants must adhere to relevant federal, state, and local laws or regulations. So again, you got the Biden administration talking about putting $30 million behind making sure that these drug abusers, you understand what I'm saying, have everything that they need so that they can stay safe and they can stay healthy. Why? Because the majority of them now are white. When they wanted to act like black folks were the face of drugs, which they can't do now because these white folks are walking around like zombies. They dropping dead everywhere. I mean, this meth has just taken over. Now they got the fentanyl coming in, and it's taking them out sometimes. On the first use, it's taking folks out. And so now that they can't hide behind black folk and they can't make black folk the face of drug abuse, now all of a sudden it's a problem. It's an epidemic. It's about health. It's not about criminality anymore. I think it was just about maybe a month ago, or a little over a month ago, and if I can find it, I'll have it linked down in the description box. Tariq posted a video of a judge sitting in the courtroom, and with predominantly white drug users, and he was coddling them and congratulating them for being 28 days free and a month free and all of this. But there was nothing like that going on when they decided that they were going to use this war on drugs to attack black folks. Now that, like I said, now that you can no longer make black people the face of drug addiction, now everybody wants to make them safe and wants to give them kits and all of this kind of stuff. Let's keep reading. The Justice Department Now we got the Justice Department involved in this. The same Justice Department that refused to reopen the case of the murder of Emmett Till. The same Justice Department that just refused to reopen the murder of Tamir Rice. The same Justice Department that just went in and tried to and actually betrayed and tried to do a sneaky deal with the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery behind his family's back. That same Justice Department. The Justice Department told the Associated Press on Monday that it is currently evaluating whether it would be legal to operate safe drug use sites and other harm reduction measures within proper guardrails. This marks a reversal from the agency's stance under the Trump administration, which successfully sued to stop the opening of a safe injection site in Philadelphia. So now the Justice Department, you understand what I'm saying, don't have time or can't come up with enough evidence or whatever, enough of reason or whatever to reopen all of these murders against innocent black folks. You understand what I'm saying? But they got time for this. They got time for this. The Biden Justice Department. Such harm reduction practices meant to lower preventable illness, overdose, and death associated with unsupervised drug use are already used in places like Canada, Australia, and Europe. The American Medical Association has endorsed harm reduction measures like safe syringe exchanges and drug testing kits. Cities like Cincinnati have already experimented with offering safe smoking kits and other supplies, which some health experts argue can prevent the spread of diseases like hepatitis and allow people using drugs to test if their supplies are laced with deadly fentanyl. Now, first of all, most drug addicts don't. I'll leave that alone for a minute. We all need the options for people to get safe injection supplies. Safe smoking supplies, fentanyl test strips, and Narcan, so they can stay alive. See, Narcan is something that they use against, I think it's either crystal meth or heroin. Narcan. Linda Sater, executive director of Caracol, a nonprofit HIV and AIDS organization in the area, said last year of the privately funded effort, "This is a crisis." So see, it's a crisis. You understand what I'm saying? It's a health crisis now because, like I said, the face of drug abuse is no longer black. Now it's white. So now it's a crisis. It's an epidemic. It's a health care crisis. So we got to offer them all these safe kits and all these testing kits and all these safe syringes, and we got to offer them these safe sites and all of this. But when they were trying to make, like I said, black folks the face of drug abuse, no. Criminalize them. They need to be locked up. Lock them up and throw away the key. Don't worry about them being safe. Don't worry about them being healthy. The best way to keep them safe and keep them healthy and keep them from dying and overdosing and all that is just to lock them up. Criminalize everything that they do. That's the reason why you still have black men in prison facing 25-year sentences over weed possession. While you got white men becoming billionaires from selling weed. A similar effort in the Annapolis, Maryland area prompted controversy from local leaders. Absolutely dumbfounded, Carl Snowden, chairman of the Caucus of African American Leaders of Anne Oradell County, said last year of a program handing out safe drug use kits. It was inexcusable, unacceptable. And in this article, they have a cubicle. They have a picture of a cubicle at a supervised drug injection site in Harlem, North Carolina. In Harlem, New York. I'm thinking about North Carolina. But they got the nerve to say America ain't a racist country, they got the nerve to say it ain't always about race. Local health officials, meanwhile, said the kits can stop overdose and allow providers to offer people who use drugs more health services and support once a contact is made during the exchange. Once we get past that visceral reaction, we get to the point of helping people. And Oradell County Health Officer Dr. Nilesh Kalyanarama told Fox Baltimore in April. Harm reduction advocates say they understand that drug use is dangerous, but that interventions like safe needle exchanges and safe smoking kits can help eliminate unnecessary suffering. We recognize that using drugs introduces risk, but there are also ways to make it safer. The National Harm Reduction Coalition writes on its website, people can reduce their risk of HIV, hepatitis C, overdose, and other drug-related harms by applying evidence-based harm reduction strategies around safer drug use. Late last year, the Biden administration unveiled a 4-part plan to tackle drug addiction, including slowing the overprescription of opioids and supporting harm reduction strategies. We are willing to go places where our opinions and our tendencies have not allowed us to go, HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra told NPR at the time. From news to politics, travel to sport, culture to climate, The Independent has a host of, okay, that's something else. So yeah, that's the article in MSNBC. Now, let me just hit a few brief differences or maybe some added information from the first article that came out in the Daily Mail. And this one came out yesterday. This one came out February the 7th, 2022. So the Daily Mail pretty much broke the story. And their headline reads like this: Biden administration to fund programs that hand out crack pipes to prevent infection and promote racial equity. So somehow or another, they're going to try to tie these so-called safe smoking kits and all of that could possibly contain pipes that you could use to smoke crack, crystal meth, or whatever. They're somehow going to try to tie that in with racial equity. These are some of the bullet points on the Daily Mail article. The $30 million grant program will distribute funds to nonprofits and local governments to make drug use safer and advance racial equity. How is that advancing racial equity? How is that something that's going to help the black community? How is that going to help our community? So all you're doing is you're going to give us the drug abusers in our community, you're going to give them the pipes to smoke the drugs that you flooded into our communities, that you put in our communities in the first place. This is another bullet point. Included in the grant is money to purchase safe smoking kits supplies. A spokesperson for HHS said included in these kits could be pipes for users to smoke substances like crack cocaine and crystal methamphetamine. HHS said that the kits will serve to limit the risk of infection. Typically, users smoke out of glass pipes, which can lead to cuts and sores that become infected. Handing out pipes is also intended to prompt users to smoke rather than inject themselves with some substances, like meth, as injection is far riskier. It is against the law to sell or distribute drug paraphernalia, including such pipes, unless authorized by state, local, or federal law. Now just listen. President Biden's Health and Human Services Department is finalizing funding to dole out crack pipes to drug addicts as part of its harm reduction plan. The $30 million program which accepted applications until Monday and will begin doling out money in May, intends to provide funds to nonprofits and local governments to make drugs use safer to advance racial equity. Now, what this has to do with racial equity, I do not know. Applicants for the program get priority if they serve underserved communities, such as African American, Native American, LGBTQ. So I guess that's what's supposed to make it racial equity. Oh, so they're going to put us first. You understand what I'm saying? When they passing out crack pipes and safe smoking kits, quote unquote, they're going to put us first. You notice that the first community that they listed was African American. So they're going to put us first when it comes to handing out deadly crack pipes. But we'll come in last when it comes to handing out actual tangibles. Things that will actually help our communities and actually help us rebuild our communities and strengthen our communities and have infrastructure in our communities. We come last when it's talking about giving out tangibles. But when it's talking about giving out something that's going to harm us and make our communities possibly even worse, we come in first for that. Now listen to this. This is what the Daily Mail put in here. The crack cocaine epidemic started in the 1980s, disproportionately ravaged the black community. But in the 1980s and the 1990s, wasn't nobody talking about handing out no safe kits. Wasn't nobody talking about having no safe sites where you can go and use your drugs. No, the Democrats came out with all of these heavy-handed crime bills that targeted black folks. So it was never a war on drugs, it was a war on black people. But now all of a sudden, like I said, since all these white folks are involved and you can't hide the white drug addiction in America no more, now all of a sudden you want to do, you want to worry about their health and you want to worry about their safety and all that. You ain't talking about no crime bills to lock them up. You ain't talking about we need stiffer laws and stiffer crime bills and all that to lock these white folks up. Let's see what else they hit on that Oh, it says this. Other harm reduction supplies that could be purchased with the grant money include testing equipment for sexually transmitted diseases, overdose reversal medication, medication lock boxes, syringes, and substance test kits. The grant program lasts for 3 years and includes 25 awards of up to $400,000. There were an estimated 1,306 drug overdose deaths in the 12-month period ending in April 2021, according to the CDC, a 28.5% increase from the prior year. 3/4 of those deaths involved opioids, many of them being synthetic opioids such as methamphetamine or fentanyl. See, that's what these white folks is on, these opioids. See, that's the reason why all of a sudden all this money is being doled out. You understand what I'm saying? And we got to provide them with kits, and we got to provide them with safe sites. You understand what I'm saying? And we got to make this as easy for them as possible. Why? Because it's white folks. Again, when it was black folks, supposedly back in the 80s and the 90s, all we could hear about was crime bills. Lock them up. They super predators. Lock them up. But this is the vibe that y'all said was going to change. Cities like San Francisco and Seattle have experience with their own crack pipe kit distribution programs. Others have backed away from such plans. Louisville, Kentucky allowed convenience stores to sell drug kits before later banning them from doing so. Meanwhile, the Justice Department, again, there we go. The Justice Department is all up in this. But they can't handle justice for black folks. Tamir Rice's mom. Justice for her, as far as her son is concerned. For the descendants of Emmett Till. Justice Department couldn't handle that. But they all up in this. Meanwhile, the Justice Department signaled Monday it may allow safe injection sites to open up across the U.S. Such sites would be safe havens where drug users could use heroin and other narcotics freely without risking arrest in an environment monitored by health professionals. So let's get the white folks off the street, put them where it's somewhere safe. You understand what I'm saying? Well, they ain't got to worry about the cops harassing them while they do their drugs. They ain't got to worry about getting arrested. We can't do them like we did them niggas back in the 80s and the 90s when we just was constantly locking them up. And all of that led to the mass incarceration that we have here today. A divided appeals court last year ruled that safe injection sites would violate a 1980s era drug law aimed at crack houses. The Supreme Court in October declined to take up the case. So see, what I say? 1980s drug law aimed at crack houses. So basically that's what the federal government wants to do. Wants to set up, quote unquote, something similar to crack houses for these white folks to make it legal. But the trap wasn't legal for us. Trap houses and what they call crack houses back in the 1980s and the 1990s and all of that. Oh, no. There was an actual law aimed at them. So the appeals court was saying, no, if you do these safe injection sites, that's pretty much the same thing as a quote-unquote crack house, and you already got laws on the books against crack houses, so how you gonna all of a sudden set up these so-called safe injection sites? About 6 weeks later, the first officially authorized safe injection site opened in New York City. The two facilities, which the city calls overdose prevention centers, provide a monitored place for drug users to partake, with staffers and supplies on hand to reverse overdoses. So these white folks can just go lay up in these sites, take all the dope they want to. They ain't got to worry about overdosing because there's somebody there. If they go into overdose, there's somebody there to inject them with the reversal drug. Oh, they just got it made. Let's get them off the street so they can take their drugs, so they ain't got to worry about being harassed by the police. They ain't got to worry about being harassed and hauled off to jail or none of that. See, this is Joe Biden. This is what y'all's friend Joe Biden. This is the Joe Biden that you said it would be better than Trump. $30 million. All right, but that ain't it. No, old Creepy Joe ain't finished with y'all. He want to make sure he rubbing it real good all up in your face. Smearing it all over your face, getting it all up in your nose and your eyes and your mouth and all of that. He just giving you his whole entire ass to kiss. Now, this is coming from Slate.com. Jurisprudence, it came out January 31st, 2022, by Mark Joseph Stern, right? The Biden administration is paying out thousands to victims of anti-gay discrimination. Now, it already gave the Afghans $6.3 billion, and it's probably more coming for them. The Asians got $50 million in the and a hate crimes bill. But in that little thing he did for them, the executive order, whatever they called it, they got 50 million. Native Americans just keep on getting a big lump sums of money. They talking about, back here was talking about the illegals getting possibly up to $450,000 a piece for being separated from their family or whatever at the border. So these are all the tangibles that these folks are getting. Now they're paying out thousands to victims of anti-gay discrimination. Most would-be beneficiaries don't even know they're eligible. Now just listen to this. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to read enough. It sounds almost like a scam or a very aggressive legal advertisement. Gay, discriminated against, you, yes you, may be eligible to collect a small fortune from the federal government today. But it's no scam. The Biden administration is paying out substantial sums of money to the surviving partners of same-sex couples who were denied the right to marry. No one knows exactly how many people are eligible, though the best estimate reaches into the thousands at a minimum, and the pot of money stretches into the millions. Unfortunately, few of these individuals know they're entitled to these payouts, and many are elders of advanced age. So LGBTQ groups are in a race against time to identify and assist this population in vindicating their constitutional rights before it was too late. Now, how was it a constitutional right? How was their constitutional rights violated? But anyway, let's go. Let's go on. Lambda Legal, the organization leading this campaign, laid the groundwork in 2 lawsuits filed during Donald Trump's presidency. Both challenged the Social Security Administration's denial of survival benefits to individuals affected by same-sex marriage bans, which have been unenforceable since the Supreme Court found them unconstitutional in 2015's Obergefell versus Hodges. The first suit was filed on behalf of widows and widowers who could never marry because their same-sex partners died before same-sex marriages were legalized. The second was filed on behalf of widows and widowers who were married for less than 9 months before their same-sex partner died. Typically, survivor's benefits are only available if the marriage lasted more than 9 months. But if an unconstitutional law prevented the couple from marrying until the end of one partner's life, Lambda argued the government had an obligation to alter this rule. In each case, the federal judge agreed that denial of survival benefits violated the Constitution. These judges ordered immediate payouts to the individual plaintiffs and certified nationwide class actions on behalf of every other LGBT person injured by this exclusionary policy. Predictably, the Trump administration dragged its feet in paying out benefits to the plaintiffs and appealed the class actions, attempting to squash them. Let's go on down. Once President Joe Biden entered the White House, however, the Department of Justice, here we go, this same DOJ under Biden administration, the Department of Justice that didn't see any reason why they should go in and open up and reinvestigate the murder of Tamir Rice, the murder of Emmett Till, the same Justice Department that, like I said, just betrayed the family of Ahmaud Arbery by trying to offer this backdoor plea deal to his murderers. That same Justice Department. But now they all for this. Once President Biden entered the White House, however, the Department of Justice started to sing a different tune. On November 1st, 2021, the DOJ settled the cases, dismissing the appeals. The timing was propitious. 4 months earlier, Biden fired Andrew Saul, Trump's terrible commissioner of the Social Security Administration, and replaced him with Kilolo Kajakazi, an LGBTQ-friendly progressive. With Biden's officials in place, the federal government is eager to start paying out survivor benefits to victims of anti-gay discrimination. Now, get this. How much money are we talking about? The short answer is a lot. Survivors can start collecting benefits at 60 or 50 if they're disabled. Survivors applying for the first time will receive monthly payments moving forward. The number varies based on the deceased partner's earnings and gets higher when the recipient has reached full retirement age. As of August, it averaged around $1,250 a month. If a survivor applied previously and was denied, they will be paid a lump sum up front, providing retroactive benefits going back to the date of their application, in addition to the monthly checks. A New York Times report provided a good example of how these benefits cash out. Anthony Gonzalez and Mark Johnson lived together in New Mexico for 16 years before they were finally able to marry in 2013. Johnson died in 2014. Gonzalez applied for survivor's benefits 6 years ago, facing swift rejection. Recently, thanks to the settlement between Lambda and Biden, he received a $90,000 retroactive payment, as well as an $1,800 a month check. I want y'all to let that sink in. $90,000 lump sum check, $1,800 a month. But they can't figure out how to pay us reparations. We don't deserve reparations. Why should the descendants of American chattel slavery and the slaves that were a part of American chattel slavery, why do we deserve any kind of reparations? Why is it that we don't deserve to be repaired? We don't deserve for the damage that's been done to us and our ancestors in this racist country. We don't deserve that. We don't deserve that. But gay folks who knew that marriage was illegal, $90,000, $1,800 a month. Some survivors might assume they aren't eligible because they never actually got married. But the Social Security Administration has trained its staff to gauge whether a survivor would have been married. So now the staff can be trained to detect whether or not they can go back into time and they can go back and decide whether or not these people would have gotten married. So I'm not reading any more of this. It'll be listed down in the description box, like I said, and y'all can read it. But everybody but us, everybody but foundational Black Americans are getting their tangibles. They are getting their form of reparations. This is a form of reparations. That's what this is. This is reparations to the gay community, to the LGBTQ community. This is their reparations. While Biden just stood up, about 2-3 weeks ago, and stood up and said that the reason why he ain't been able to do nothing for us is because of COVID, and because he hadn't been able to get out in the community and look at us face to face and eye to eye and talk to us. That's the reason why he couldn't do nothing for us. And that once again, we need to just settle back and we just need to wait. But all of this right here is happening while we being told we got to wait. So did he have to go and meet with the LGBT people face to face before he decided that he was going to do this? Was there any study done on this? Did they have to set up a committee to decide whether or not this was going to get done? And he went in immediately. and dismissed all the appeals and everything that the Trump administration had done prior to his administration. He went in immediately. Here it is. Let me read it again. Once President Joe Biden entered the White House, however, the Department of Justice started to sing a different tune. Of course, he gonna fire the man that was Andrew Saul, that was against all of this, and replace him with a LGBTQ friendly progressive. On November 1st, 2021, the DOJ settled the cases, dismissing the appeals. So this is all that he has managed to get done for other groups in the year that he's been there. So now we see the LGBTQ getting their reparations. We see all the stuff that's being done for the illegals and for the immigrants, and all the money and stuff that's being set aside for them. We see all of this legislation and all of these hate crime bills and all of this kind of stuff. We got hate crime bills out for the LGBT, for transgender women, for the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and all of that. All of these other groups getting their hardcore tangibles. Money. The Native Americans then got 2 lump sums of money in the last 6 months. We saw Jim Bojangles Clyburn pushing for the Catawba Indians to get all of this money and reparations and all of this. So all of these other groups have gotten all these tangibles in just the first year under Biden, but he gonna tell us he couldn't do nothing for us because of the pandemic. And because he couldn't come and look us in the face. So I just wanted to bring this information to y'all. Like I said, these 3 articles will be linked down in the description box. But this is for all the Biden sexuals and all the Kamala Harris clowns that believed that it was going to be different under Biden. And that really truly believed that you were getting the lesser of 2 evils by getting Biden. When we should not have been settling for evil, period. But this is him throwing it all up in your face and smearing it all in your face and over and over and over and over and over again, giving you his tail to kiss and letting you know how stupid you really are, how stupid he sees you. We get days that don't mean nothing. Talking about Juneteenth as a federal holiday. A day that's supposed to celebrate the end of slavery, but everybody, the descendants of the slave owners and everybody else get to celebrate that holiday. Talking about putting a black woman on the Supreme Court, and why? For what? How is that tangible for us? They don't help nobody but her and her white paymasters. National Hip Hop Month and National Hip Hop Day. That's the kind of symbolism and bullshit they throw out on us while these folks is getting chunks of money. $19,000 retroactive lump sum and then $1,800 a month. But the only thing he's talking about giving us is some crack pipes. That crack pipe kit is supposed to be a form of your reparations. That's supposed to be a tangible for you. While the police still killing black folks with and shooting and killing black men with impunity. Going in people's houses at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, you understand what I'm saying? And shooting them dead within 90 seconds. But this is what y'all voted for. This is what y'all wanted. This is what y'all said was going to be better than Trump. So like I said, all this information will be listed down in the description box. If I can find, it was something that I said, if I can find it, I will put it in the description box. A link to something. I think it was that video that Tariq had on his page where the judge was in the court with all of these white drug users and just, you know, giving them, just coddling them and giving them these pats on the back and all of that. If I can find it, I'll list it down in the description box. But yeah, this is what we need to know what's going on. So this is what's been going on behind the scenes while they've been trying to keep us distracted with all of this foolishness and offering us all of this symbolism and all of this. This is what's been going on. So see, Biden is already making these payments to these members of the LGBT community. These payments are already being made. They're already receiving their reparations. That's how quick he came in and took care of that and made sure that that was taken care of, that that was handled. Now, I remember it was a few years ago when they were talking about doing it, and I think it might have been when Trump first came into office, when they were talking about doing reparations for the gay community. Well, Biden stepped in, and he immediately got to work making sure that those folks got their money. But now, again, remember, he told you that he can't do nothing for you because the pandemic was in the way and because he couldn't come out and talk to you face to face. So how many of these LGBTQ people did he go and sit down and have face-to-face one-on-one conversations with them before he did this? How many studies and commissions did it take? Black folks, it's time to wake up. Foundational Black Americans, it's time to wake up. And it's time for you to go ahead on and accept and admit that you were wrong about Biden. You understand what I'm saying? That you made a mistake. And don't continue to be a part of the problem. Don't consider to be complacent and complicit in your own destruction, your own demise. But that's just what I wanted to bring y'all. Like I said, this information will be down in the description box. The email for the channel is down in the description box. If it's anything that you want me to talk about or whatever, email me, leave a comment. Or whatever. The Cash App as well as the PayPal are in the description box if you want to support the channel that way. It will be greatly appreciated. But please, more than anything, like the video, share the video, have these conversations. Make sure that you're letting friends and family know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. The stuff that we don't know anything about. The stuff that they done took somewhere and tucked here and all of that. And by the time we find out about it, it's already done. But we already knew. This is just more proof of it. Confirmation of it. But we already knew all of these other groups were receiving their tangibles under Biden. We already knew that. But here you go. So like I said, please share this video. Please have these conversations. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we upload videos. Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle will also be in the description box. So follow me on Twitter. And yeah, y'all, we have got to. We have got to get on code. We have got to stay on code. We have got to stand on our square as far as reparations are concerned. We have got to stay on our square as far as tangibles are concerned. And as far as no black agenda, no vote. Don't make no difference who you are. Don't make no difference what party you with. No black agenda, no vote. It's just that simple. And I'm not just talking about you coming to us with words and promises. No. We got to see you actually doing some work. We got to see you actually making some things happen. Because you can promise us anything for our vote. But we need to see you working towards these things before you come and ask us for our vote. No tangibles, no vote. No black agenda, no vote. We got to stand on that, and we have got to mean it. And don't think that it's going to take all of us coming together, getting on one accord. No, it ain't going to take all of us. It's just going to take a committed few that refuse to move off that square. So we got to let them know. Oh, and that's another thing. Yeah, I'm gonna leave down in the description box the video of the Jamaican woman that's the head of CARICOM, because you know CARICOM is over there trying to get reparations and all that for the Jamaicans. Well, she did this video where she talks about how it's divisive for a foundation of Black Americans to be talking about getting their reparations and excluding other black folks from other countries and all of this. But we're not involved in CARICOM. We're not listed in CARICOM, and we didn't ask to be. Why? Because our descendants weren't slaves in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, in the West Indies. Well, our ancestors weren't enslaved there. Our ancestors were enslaved here. So our claim is against this government. But yeah, she was just going in deep about how it's so divisive and all of this. So yeah, we got to be real careful, and we got to watch these immigrants, the black ones, the white ones, the gray ones, the pink ones. We got to watch all of them. But I'll make sure to leave the link to that video so that y'all can hear her yourselves and hear how crazy she sounds. I'll make sure to leave that in the description box as well, because you need to hear that. You need to know. If nothing else, all those spaces that Tariq was having last week with the different immigrants, the African immigrants, the Caribbean immigrants, all of these, it just go to show just how they really feel about us. And that they are not allies. They are not our friends. And yes, they are here to undermine us. They are here to undermine us and to try to replace us. Not 100% of them, but the vast majority of them. So I'll make sure to have that linked in the description box as well. So yeah, y'all, that's all. We've got to get on code. We've got to stay on code, and we've got to stand on our square. No black agenda, no vote. Y'all have a good night.